You're listening to Staying Wild, the podcast where we ditch burnout and build outrageous success and lives the wild way. I'm Adelaide, the high-performance coach James Bond would secretly hire if pink was his vibe. I've helped over 500 high achievers land promotions, smash personal bests, pivot careers, achieve their full potential, and actually love their lives. Yes, I have. All in under a year. No fluff, just deep mindset work, potent energy, and breakthroughs worth popping champagne over. Now it's time to join me and Wolfie on the wild side with today's episode.
Like with every episode of Staying Wild, today we are starting with a masterclass, how to rewire your brain for ultimate confidence, the wild method way. And then we're diving into an inspiring and wild conversation with the badass Norwegian freeride skier, Lisen Strøm. So buckle up. Scientific research, like from Bandura and his colleagues, shows that confidence grows over time as we gather evidence of mastery. But then, how come most elite athletes and leaders at one point or another lack confidence, feel self-doubt, or choke under pressure? Why did one of my pro triathletes, who was also one of the best in Norway, winning races and breaking records, genuinely believe he was a slow swimmer, when to most of us he'd mastered swimming and was very quick? It's easy just to blame the brain and say it loves lying to you. Society often makes us passive to our mind and the outcome it provides, like anxiety, depression, self-doubt. If we return to my pro triathlete, his belief was guiding his brain to hide all of the evidence that proved he was a fast swimmer. So he swam slower than his potential. And this is key to understanding how to grow your confidence. As you're going to learn in this confidence masterclass, your brain is a very simple creature. It just follows orders and the strongest neuropathways. So if you're accidentally telling your brain you're not very good at something, it'll go, oh, they think they're bad at this. Okay, let's make this their reality. I'll help them. And it will hide all evidence to the contrary. It will wire itself for low confidence or self-doubt, reinforcing the self-doubt narrative and strengthening low confidence or self-doubt to be your reality, proving, oh my God, you are right. You are bad at this. How embarrassing for you. So today, I'm going to be showing you how to use the power of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself, to build confidence faster using my wild method. But just before we dive into today's masterclass, I have an exciting announcement. I am pulling out all of the stops to secure a handful of corporate contracts before November to stack the odds in my favor of renewing my Norwegian visa. So, for the first time in the leadership and team performance space, my programs and my coaching is now tailored to your exact goals, time constraints, and budget with zero risk and guaranteed results. This means if we do not hit your KPIs or your goals, I will keep working for you for free until we do. So imagine your team motivated, energized, focused, positive, and engaged, smashing tasks and performance goals like never before, having fun and not burning out. Clients like British American Tobacco and Neuroplasticity have already seen what happens when you invest in high performance coaching. Specifically, mine. They're still raving about it months, even years later. One of our team members still listens to the live recordings. We're still using the dartboard. It totally changed team communication. Your goal setting method is now part of our meetings. It's helped us consistently hit the board's KPIs and with more energy. Now it is your turn. Let's take your team from good to world class. Send me an email to make it happen. Details in the show notes. And without further ado, let's dive into today's confidence masterclass. How to rewire your brain for ultimate confidence the wild method way, or the wild way. This is episode 3 of making masterclasses for companies I love until they hire me. This one's for CARV, the ski tech wearable sensor that provides personalized tips so you can take on harder terrain, carve cleaner turns, and look cool doing it. Full confession now. Last season, my local slope was more like an ice rink, so I only got to use my CARV a handful of times. Also not sponsored, I did buy it myself. This year, I am really excited to take it out properly and push my skiing to the next level. Looking cool, I mean, that would be nice. I'm still very much working on that part. Over the years, I have noticed that even the most seasoned skiers are held back by their lack of confidence. Often too embarrassed to ask the questions or to go to the events that could actually make them better. Fear, shame, I don't want to look stupid, all of that gets in the way. My first ever ski trip was accidentally down Galdhøpiggen, Norway's highest mountain. I learned on my first turn that there was zero chance of me looking cool as an adult beginner skier. So instead, I embraced the embarrassment. I fell over, I laughed, and I repeated that many, many, many times. And I ask every so-called stupid question. And you know the funny thing? People have come up to me afterwards to say thanks because they've been too embarrassed to ask that question themselves. So that's exactly what this episode is about. Building wild confidence. Confidence as an athlete, confidence as a leader, confidence as a high achiever who wants to push their limits, whether that is on the mountain or in the boardroom. Even if you don't see yourself as a confident person or a real athlete, this masterclass will help you rewire your brain so you can do the stuff you want to do in a more enjoyable and confident way in skiing, in work, in life. How do you get stuck in self-doubt? Thinking, feeling, and believing you're not good enough. Not a good enough skier, not a good enough leader. Not good enough, full stop. Here is what I see all of the time. Clients and individuals wearing the self-doubt glasses. They've got tons of evidence that they are brilliant as leaders, skiers, triathletes, parents, whatever it may be, but they just cannot see it. This is because your brain edits your reality to match what you tell it to look for. Whatever you focus on, your brain serves up. Now, I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but again, it's just such a good one to demonstrate how your brain edits your reality. Now, many years ago, I used to live in West London, the best part of London, in a little London village kind of called Chiswick. And Chiswick is known for being beautiful, for having a quaint high street, and for yummy mummies. Now, my friend and I, we were walking down the high street lined with cafes. It was a beautiful summer's day. And all of a sudden she goes, "Oh my God, Adelaide, there are so many yummy mummies here." And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I was very much in my era of being single. I mean, I like to say, I loved how I said I was very much in my era. That era is still continuing today. But back then I was still single, let's say. And so I was very much on the lookout for hot guys. So I was like, what are you talking about? There are no yummy mummies here. And yummy mummies are these beautiful mothers that look like they have everything together and they're just dressed in beiges and creams and cashmere and they just look absolutely gorgeous. And I was like, there are none here. But a veil by this point had been lifted. And I looked around and I was like, holy shit, I can swear on my own podcast. There are loads here. They were everywhere, lining the streets. But because I told my brain to look out for hot guys, I didn't see any of them until my friend told me. And this is how your brain edits your reality. What you tell your brain to look for, whether that is conscious or unconscious, becomes your reality because your brain is thinking, oh, this is what they want to see. This is what they want to do. Let me help them do that. and it will edit your reality based on those instructions, which is why we want to be very aware of what we're telling our brain to look for. Because if you are wearing those self-doubt glasses or the hot guy glasses, your brain will hide all of the confidence-building evidence. And it's going to spotlight everything that makes you doubt yourself, everything that makes you believe you are not good enough. And this is just a symptom or a process. Well, it is a symptom and it is a process of being stuck in the low confidence feedback loop. And yes, before you ask, there is a stack of research behind this. When you think, I'm a slow swimmer, I'm a bad skier, I'm not a good leader, I'm not very good at X, Y, and Z, these thoughts, they create more feelings of self-doubt, of being embarrassed, of potentially being judged, of fear. Whatever those thoughts are connected to, it will create those feelings. And then feelings create more thoughts. More thoughts create more feelings. So already we're getting the snowball rolling down the mountain. This then influences our actions, decisions, habits, and behaviors. So if you're thinking and feeling self-doubt, you will act in a self-doubt way. So for example, for my triathlete, he believed he was a slow swimmer. When he was swimming, he focused on all the wrong things, all the things that were making him slow. I'm going to paraphrase here. Oh, my arms are feeling heavy in the water. My kicks are too deep. Whatever it may be that made him a bad swimmer, that's what he hyper focused on. And it's the same if you're doubting your capabilities as a leader. You will spot and highlight and act in a way that makes it worse. So you'll turn up to meetings in a more anxious way. You will silence yourself. You'll shrink your power. You won't stand up to the boss who is bullying you. You'll hold meetings and come out thinking, oh, these people, they didn't like the meeting, or they didn't seem very engaged, and like all of these things will snowball even more. And now your brain is like, okay, well, they're thinking and feeling this a lot. Their actions are reflecting this. All of those neuropathways are lighting up. Let me help them. Let me now edit their reality to make this more true, because that's what they want. They're using these neuropathways the most. They're thinking and feeling and acting in the self-doubt way the most. So that's what they want. And it will now edit your reality to match that. It will make mountains out of molehills. So all those small things around self-doubt, they will become Mount Everest. And all the stuff that actually proves to you that you're good at something, it will hide it. It's going to wave red flags and light up all that self-doubt, and it will hide the confidence stuff, the things that make you good at what you do. And then this creates more thoughts, more feelings. It will influence your actions even more. And now your brain is really rewiring itself to be better, faster, and stronger at creating self-doubt. So round and round you go, because then that creates more feelings and more thoughts, because you have very, very effectively and efficiently created a mindset for self-doubt. So how does this then show up in your life? For example, maybe you're out on a great ski day and you fall once. Oh, that is so much proof I am a rubbish skier. Instead of thinking, oh my God, that carve before, that was so perfect. Or, oh, out of those 20 runs, that was incredible. Like I only fell once. And then maybe you hold a meeting and 3 out of 6 employees don't say, that was really great, I enjoyed it. This is proof the meeting was a failure. Instead of thinking, hey, that's actually a 50% success rate. Oh my God, that's amazing. So every time the self-doubt loop spins, the belief around you not being good enough gets stronger. So your brain is literally wiring itself around doubt. As I said, round and round and round we go. Now, you want to know, okay, Adelaide, I get it. I'm doing self-doubt, but where's the neuro hack? How do I get out of this? We want to swap those glasses. We want to put on the confidence glasses. We want to swap out those self-doubt thoughts, those self-doubt feelings. We want to change the actions that they're influencing. So let's switch you into the high confidence or the wild confidence feedback loop. So our thoughts, that's where we're going to start. I'm a great swimmer. I'm getting better and better every single day. I'm a great leader. I held a meeting and 3 employees said they loved it and found it really valuable. I am good at turning corners. I'm working on this, but I'm really good at this. These kind of thoughts create more life-enhancing, confidence-enhancing feelings. You start to feel more confident, whatever that is for you. And then more confident feelings create more confident feelings. More confident thoughts create more confident thoughts. So we're starting this upward spiral now. And this influences your actions, behaviors, habits, and decisions. And it influences, again, backed by research, your performance in a significant way. So now you're thinking more confidently, you're feeling more confidently, and you're acting more confidently. And your brain's like, oh, now they're feeling and thinking more confidently. Those neural pathways are lighting up. This is what they want to think and feel. Let me now create a reality that serves them in this confident way. So now your brain is going to highlight to you all of those successes, and all that stuff that used to cause you self-doubt, that will now be in the shadows. So your belief that you're confident, that you're good at something is getting stronger and stronger. And now your brain will get better, faster, and stronger at its job for creating confidence. So now we get into this upward spiral, into this confident feedback loop. It is starting to work in your favor. Your brain is serving up confidence. You have downloaded this mindset. And what's really cool is the less and less you use those self-doubt neuropathways, the worse, the slower, the clunkier they get at their job. So it's harder for you to activate them. So when you download, when you strengthen the neuropathways for confidence, it becomes your new normal, and it becomes harder to activate self-doubt, which is how you start to become a more and more confident person, how you start to believe and act, identify as someone who is good at something. Now, you might not believe me when I say you can boost your confidence quickly. You might be thinking this sounds way too easy, it's too good to be true. You can actually flip the self-doubt script in less than 90 minutes for life-changing results. That's how long my coaching sessions last. Your brain can actually really tripping over my words. Your brain can actually rewire itself in seconds. Imagine you have a partner. Maybe you do have a partner, but let's create an imaginary scenario. You have a partner. You are head over heels in love with them. And one day you're really excited. You're able to get home from work early and you're going to surprise them. You walk in the door and you're like, Clive, hey, I'm home early. I don't know where Clive came from. That's so random. Clive, I'm home early. Where are you? Like, let's do something fun. But you don't hear an answer. Maybe you hear like a shuffle or something, like a thud upstairs. You're like, well, what the hell is going on? So you run upstairs, you throw open the bedroom door, and Clive is in bed with someone else. And you're like, what the actual fuck? Your love of your life, those loving feelings, have now been instantly, within less than seconds, turned to heartbreak, confusion, despair, and all that other stuff. This is how quickly your brain can rewire itself. And then if you go to the gym, forget squats, forget deadlifts. We're going to train your brain for confidence. And again, if you're a long-time listener, you'll know that your brain is like a muscle. If you are only to exercise your right arm in the gym, your right arm is going to get stronger and stronger. Your left arm will get weaker and weaker. The same is true for your brain. If you exercise those confidence neuropathways through thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs, then those neuropathways for confidence will get stronger, better, and faster at their job. Self-doubt will get weaker and weaker. The opposite can also be true. So the neuropathways you train, they become your reality. Just like at the gym, the more you train certain body parts, the better, faster, and stronger they get. The less you train certain body parts, the weaker and weaker they become. We want to go to the gym to train confidence, and that comes from entering in a very purposeful and aware way that confidence feedback loop. Now, this is exactly what we did for my pro triathlete. We looked at, okay, why do you believe you're a slow swimmer? And we started to crack the door open to change. First of all, I wanted to compare his swim times at his races to other triathletes. Lo and behold, oh, mine are quite fast. I'm actually not at the bottom. I'm quite high up. And I was like, well, yeah, you're really quick. So that opened the door to change. Maybe I'm not slow. Maybe actually I am quite quick. So then we started to strengthen his beliefs. We started to rewire the brain, and using certain processes I've been trained in, I'm able to accelerate the process of neuroplasticity. So we were able to get him to go from within one day, within a coaching session, I'm a slow swimmer, to I'm getting faster and faster. The next day he had a race and he was the first out of the water for the first time in his career because we changed that belief. This is how quickly your brain can rewire and how quickly you can actually see the results in your performance or in your day-to-day life. In my workshops at the beginning, I'll do a neuro warm-up, and one of my favorites is getting people to recite their phone number backwards because they've never been asked to do this before. So in that very moment, the first time they recite their phone number backwards, they are creating a new neuro pathway. At the first, it is clunky, it is hard, it is slow. This is what it feels like to rewire the brain. But by the 10th time they have recited their phone number backwards, and you can try this for yourself, it becomes faster, it becomes easier. This is what it's like to strengthen a neuro pathway. So you can actually feel and experience your brain rewiring in real time. This is neuroplasticity in action. You don't need years of evidence to build confidence, or you want evidence to build confidence, yes, but maybe you have that, you just can't see it. So we need to strengthen the neuro pathways around the evidence you have built. So when scientific research says you need to build years of evidence to create confidence, yes, that is part of the formula. But we need the mindset to back that up, to make it valuable, to make it worthy, to make it actionable on. I hope this makes sense. Because what other people will also tell you is, okay, you have self-doubt around public speaking, then you need to do more public speaking. But I've seen people, they could do 10 more public talks or hold 10 more meetings and they still have the same amount of anxiety when they started because they've not been able to rewire the brain. So it's very important that you take the actions, but back it up with your mindset. Take that mindset along with you and develop and enhance those confidence neuro pathways. Because that's when the real shift happens, when you start believing, thinking, feeling, and acting in a confident way. That's when your brain rewires and you start showing up as your best confident self. So now you're probably thinking, well, this is great. I understand the theory, the concept. How the hell do I actually do it? One of my favorite methods is, it's actually visualization, but some people struggle with it. It can be hard to start visualizing in a confident way on your own without anyone or without a recording to guide you. So what I would love you to do is to either recall a time when you have felt unstoppable, or to imagine a future scenario in which you do feel unstoppable, whether that's in skiing, it could be holding a meeting, it could be something very specific, or it could be something general, like just walking around more confidently. And I want you to notice when you felt unstoppable or when you will feel unstoppable. You're going to write this in the present, I am, and I want you to really dive into the details. What did you look like, or what do you look like when you are confident? What's your posture like? How do you hold yourself? How do you talk? What does your voice sound like? Because if you think about it, when we're anxious, when we're self-doubt, we make ourselves smaller. When we're confident, we take up space. The same with our voice. When we're anxious, we could talk very, very, very quickly. It can, our words will slur together. We might be talking very quietly because we're really nervous and then no one can hear us and then it makes it really worse. When we're confident, we are able to project our voices. We are able to slow down and we can pause for dramatic effect. I want you to think, when you are confident, when you feel unstoppable, what feelings do you feel? What do you believe? How do you identify as? I am good enough. I am a great skier. I'm getting better and better. I believe that I can get better and better. I believe I am progressing. I believe I'm actually good enough to apply for this job or to host this meeting. How do you show up in your day-to-day? What are your habits? What do you do? What do you eat? What do you drink? Dive into the details. How do you walk? How do you move? In your sport, if you show up to a competition or to a training session confidently, what does that look like? What do you wear? Write down the nitty-gritty details of what it is like to be your ultimate confident, wild self. Because you can only be more confident once you know what that looks like for you. And that's really important because it is all about showing up as your confident self, what not you think you should be. I was having a coaching session with a client this morning and she was saying, I need to prove myself to my colleagues. They've had very toxic leadership. I need to prove to them that I'm a great leader. But if we are confident and if we are showing up as our authentic self, we have nothing to prove. We are enough. When we think we need to prove something, we are already doubting our capabilities. So really think about, how do I want to show up as my authentic, confident self? What does that look like? I am enough. I believe I am enough. I believe I provide value, or I am valuable. I believe I'm a great athlete and I'm really good at X, Y, and Z. I believe I'm getting better and better at something else. When you are confident, how does that impact your performance? So script out your confident self. And as I said, a specific scenario, or it can be general. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. The details to do that are in the show notes. The second exercise, I love this one and I do it with all of my clients, especially the ones going after a big competition, is the demands versus the resources exercise. There is so much research to back up the value of this exercise. Especially there's one researcher, scientist, psychologist called, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Gucciardi et al. And his colleagues. Oh, it's horrible pronunciation, please. I apologize. They have so much evidence showing that when you bring awareness, and also this is common sense, right? When you bring awareness to what resources you have, what are the demands of the situation, what evidence do I have, and then what actions do I need to take, your performance improves, your results improve, you feel more confident. So think about something you're doing doubt around and what are the demands of that situation. The demand could be showing up in a powerful way so you are respected as a leader, for example. And then you want to be thinking, okay, well, what resources do I have to meet these one or more demands? And resources can be skills, they can be training, they can be the support you have. So okay, I'm backed up by the CEO. I've been doing this career for 20 years. I have these skills that I'm really, really good at. Maybe it's public speaking. So think about the resources you have that meet the demand of the situation. For example, in skiing, it could be, well, I have CARV. I'm doing the training. I'm able to practice on the slopes 4 times a week. I have friends who can support and film me so I can see my ski technique. These are the kind of resources you can list. And then you want to be thinking, okay, well, what positive evidence do I have that I have succeeded before? And this can be in that specific area. So it could be in your career, it could be in your sport, or it could be outside of those things. So I've had people use evidence for their sport, such as, well, I bought myself a house, I saved up for the deposit, and that was an impossible situation, but I did it. So that shows you have already overcome challenges. So use whatever positive evidence you feel resonates with backing up that you can do this, that you can achieve this. And then when we look at the actions, it's thinking, well, where are the gaps in my skills, in my knowledge, in my resources? So for example, I had a swimmer and not a swimmer, another triathlete actually, and she was doing a mega long triathlon, and one of the swims I think was 10K, but she'd never done a 10K swim. And she's like, I just want to know that I can do the distance. So then we put a 10K swim into her training plan. So now we have evidence that she can do a 10K swim. And this exercise instantly shifts our perspective from I can't to I've got this. And it shifts your perspective from focusing on all the things that could go wrong, all the ways you could fail, all the things you don't have, to, okay, this is the demand, these are all the resources I have, this is all the way it's going to work out, this is all the evidence I have to back up that I can actually do this, and now I have the solutions to focus on. So it's a very powerful exercise to do. And lastly, before you start your activity, such as skiing, give yourself reminders to boost your self-belief and your confidence. And again, this is backed up by so much research by Morin, by Marlowe et al., by the Italian guy and his colleagues. When you remind yourself, and this was in last week's episode, when you talk to yourself before you start an activity in a confident way, it significantly increases your performance and reduces your chance of choking under pressure. So talk to yourself in a confidence way. Remind yourself of your positive evidence. Now, this masterclass has been going on a little bit longer than usual, so let's wrap it up. Confidence is trained through the brain and through purposeful physical tasks and actions. Notice, become aware of, and switch out those limiting beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and actions for those confidence ones, for knowing the demands, knowing your resources, and being able to meet them with positive evidence, with solution-focused action. You've now got your confidence script anchored into that wild confidence. If you know you're more confident when you're wearing a certain outfit, wear that outfit into a situation you might have self-doubt in. If you have any questions around this, please shoot me a message. How to do that is in the show notes below. You can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok now. Yes, I have joined TikTok. Or shoot me an email. That's also in the show notes. And I want to finish on this powerful question. If you showed up in every part of your life with wild confidence, or even just one part of your life, like skiing, how would that transform your skiing, your sport, your adventure, your work, your relationships, and your life? If you want me to help you or your team build wild confidence at lightning speed, let's chat. Email me or book a 15-minute call with me. Again, all of that information in the show notes. It has been absolutely delightful. And now I am so excited to introduce you to Lisen Strøm. Lisen is a badass skier taking on the steep slopes and doing ski trips that light her soul up and make me a little envious. She is living her wild life as a skier and high-achieving professional now in Oslo. We talk confidence, overcoming fear, skiing, of course, living by following your heart or her heart, and her film with another really cool skier who actually lives where I live, called Thea Kupala. And their film is called Odyssey of Lopa. Highly recommend to watch. That is in the show notes. So without, again, further ado, let's dive into that conversation.
That's it for today.
Hello,
Wild
Lisen.
Ones.
Welcome
Please
to
rate,
Staying
review,
Wild.
subscribe.
I am
This really
so
helps with
excited
the
to
podcast
have you on.
algorithms to
Thank you.
reach
I'm
more
very excited to be here.
wild-hearted
It's gonna be
souls.
fun to
Remember, we have
hear
our
what you wanna
wild
ask me,
bonus
and
episode
yeah, I'm
out on
excited.
Thursday on
Yeah,
YouTube
I'm
and
watched
Spotify.
your film
Until
with...
next time, darling wild
Oh my God,
ones.
my
Try
brain
not
is
to
just
do
not working
anything
today. It's
I
so
wouldn't do, which
embarrassing.
quite frankly
With
leaves you
Thea, thank you.
plenty of options.
Called Odyssey, and it
Stay
was
smart,
so good.
stay
I made my
savage,
friend
and
watch it
above
with me,
all,
and we
stay
both said it was really
wild. I'll
refreshing
see
to
you
watch
above the tree
two
lines
women
very soon.
create a ski film, because you went up north and it was absolutely stunning, and it just felt like, hey, this is what we do, and then we're inviting you to come and have a glimpse into our holiday. We just loved that whole vibe.
Yeah, you're pretty spot on what we kind of wanted out of making the movie about it. Because it's called Odyssey of Loppa, and Loppa is like an area that I've been to prior and explored. And Thea's she lived up in Troms area for like, or northern Norway for 10 years, but had never been that far north. which was kind of mesmerizing to me because I knew that there were good skiing and like kind of like the adventure skiing up there. And I know that she likes to be outside and be like in the mountains, like really be in them. So yeah, I wanted to show her that area and I wanted to explore it myself. And it is a very challenging place to go because it's so remote, but it's also the kind of like adventures I like and that draws me in because of all the skill set and like knowledge that you have to be able to do those things. And I think for me, it kind of just all the knowledge that I built throughout like my 20s and stuff, they sort of like accumulated and now I'm able to do this kind of stuff, which is very exciting to me.
The skiing just looked phenomenal. And you could tell that it required, as you said, all these different skill sets you've both built up over the years because you made it look so easy.
Well, the skiing was really fun, but it was also like in that type of like an adventure, it's a really small part actually. And it was also really challenging because it was we were skiing like melt freeze zones. So that means like the sun has been hitting it and then it gets shade on it, so it freezes again. So you have all these like balls of snow that turns into ice from like previous avalanches that have gone down. So usually the top like 300 verts 400 verts would be good skiing, and then it was kind of like survival mode, which was very interesting with a really heavy backpack. But
That was my question actually for you, because I was watching this film and I'm going to link it in the show notes so then we can all watch it and enjoy it. And you guys are skiing with this heavy backpack, and I live in Sogndal. I went to go camping without a tent, I just my sleeping bag, but then I have dog food for my dog and, stove and stuff.
yeah.
And on the way down, I was like, this is horrendous because my legs died and I didn't even ski that much down, like maybe 200 meters down, maybe 300 meters down, because I didn't go all the way to the top of the mountain because my legs were already dying when I got like three-quarters of the way, and I was like, this is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
like,
did you guys just have one tent? Like, how did you
yeah,
do it? Because
we
my
did.
legs died on that very easy, very short downhill.
So we did have just one tent, a really tiny MSR Advanced Pro is what it's called. It's a uh what do you say, one layer tent. So it's made for climbing and like climbing expeditions when you have to like be like up on small ledges and stuff. We used gear that was sort of like the lightest you can go where it was still warm and stuff. But the backpack is an issue, like, or not issue, but it's a challenge because we estimate it to be like 30, 32 kilos. So that's pretty heavy. And it actually makes of like a safety risk because if you fall with that heavy of a backpack, like you could easily break something. So we tried to like ski a bit conservatively because of that. But we're also like lucky. We're both sponsored by Rab Equipment, so they kitted us out with really good sleeping bags and sleeping pads. I actually used to work. I used to distribute MSR in Norway, so I have a lot of good gear there. So you have to get like really really light stuff because your backpack is kind of crucial, and it's crucial that it doesn't get heavier than it has to be. When I was packing the backpack, I was like looking at bringing these like really really big warm gloves. That's the warmest you can have, or like some mittens that were tiny, like they packed really really small. And I ended up with the tiny ones because I couldn't fit the big one in my backpack. Like our backpacks were so packed to the brim. Like it was an issue when we had to shed a layer because it was like where do you put it? Like I have big pockets on my ski pants and they were stuffed with gear. You only bring exactly what you need. I think the
Mhm.
only thing that I didn't need was like underwear that I brought because I wanted some fresh underwear for the ferry going back.
I understand that. Gosh, I'm so impressed. 'Cause I was watching you ski with the rucksacks. I was like, I struggled down Narva and then you guys are doing this like such spicy things with 30 kilos. That's crazy. And when I was watching the film and we mentioned the tent, I was like, surely they're not sharing that tent because it is so tiny and it was cold. I was like, they have to be really good friends.
No, no, no. It's a tiny tent. It's a tent where you have to like sleep like opposite ends or else you
Mm.
don't fit. And that's how it's designed too, so that you can fit like 2 mummy-formed sleeping pads that get in there. So it's like it's made only for like the sleeping pads, and we had like most of our gear in like small packs that we packed things in that were like scattered around the tent, and then our backpacks were outside the tent. So it was like it's very cozy, but it was kind of like you would wake up, and I usually slept with my head close to the door, so it was like, well, I'll get up first, and then you have room to get dressed and get out, because like both can't do it at the same time because it's so tight.
That's just so cool. I was also watching you in another film you did. But it was with I think it was a ski film, and I was watching behind the scenes, and you guys were skiing a cooler, and it was really spicy, and it was a no fall zone. And you were feeling, we're kind of switching things up now. You were feeling a little bit apprehensive. And do you know which section I'm talking
Well,
about?
he did the behind the scenes with, I think it's called something like the ski tour that beat the Hollywood box office or something like that. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes,
We
that's the
see
one.
this really pretty peak that looks, if you take the ferry to Lyngen, it's the one you look straight at. I know now. I know where you were going, because at the top of, like, we did 2 lines that day, and like at the top of the last one, it was pretty spicy getting up there. And then when we're up there and you have this like cauliflower snow sort of like everywhere,
Sorry,
um,
what's cauliflower snow?
it's this kind of like funky snow where it's like it's kind of like frozen on, but if you hit it, it like sheds off pretty easily, I would say. And it's
Yes,
like
I know
not
what you mean.
fun to ski because like you can catch the ski pretty easily in it. And I got up there and I just kind of like it didn't look that inviting to ski down. And I don't think I went fully far enough in to see where Nikolai and the guys were looking. Because when I got in there and like when I put my skis on, I'm usually really comfortable, but I was having my crampons on before that.
Mm.
And when I was getting my skis on, I was like, oh yeah, this is okay. Like I'm good. Like this is fine. Because I went further to where we're skiing and like actually looked in there and I was like, I can ski this. This is fine. Or like sidestep down it. But
Mm.
before that, I was really apprehensive because I was like, this just like seems a bit too much at the moment. And we've had a long day already. I think we did like 2,500 vertical meters that day. So it's like a long day out, and it's starting to become like sunset. Like we left town at like, I think I picked up at 4:30 or something like that. So it's a long day and it hits you. I think it's better to voice, at least for me it is, it's better to say like I'm not feeling it right now, because then the group can like help me logically figure out what it is and like
Mm.
help me get out of maybe like my chain of thoughts and be like, well, this is kind of like the steps to do it so we get past this, instead of
Mm.
making myself more nervous or more scared. I usually like to discuss things so that we can figure out the small steps to get to where we need to go, which in this case was down. Yeah.
I love that because I felt that was the moment in the film where I was like, oh, I relate to this.
Yeah. Well, we all
But
get there because it's like you do put yourself in like challenging situation and you do push yourself, and sometimes like it might not even be the skiing, it might be something else that's going on in your life, or you're tired from like a big week at work and it all
Mm.
wears on you. So I don't think there's like a shame in showing that because it's part of the process of being in the mountains.
It was actually my favorite bit of the film and my friend's favorite bit of the film because I would love to be able to ski stuff like that, but my skill just isn't there yet. It's like I can ski 45 degrees and it's like type 2 fun, it's like on the edge of the comfort zone. And when I saw that bit in the film, I was like, oh, A, I can relate to it. B, I loved how you overcame it and how you had all the support as well to do that. But it was also very refreshing to see because quite often when you're watching these ski films with these spicy lines, you
Mhm.
don't get an insight into it's all about the skiing. And I
Yeah,
feel for women, when we're consuming ski films, we want the story
yeah,
and we want the feelings. And I've been hearing this in women's sport. Apparently, like when women are watching sport, they're more interested in the athlete than kind of the
yeah.
sport itself in a way. So I really like that. And I like what you're saying. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But when you're in that position where you're like, oh, this is a bit on the edge, you're really breaking it down into those logical steps.
Yeah, and that's always important for me because that's when I can sort of like, I don't know if decipher is the right word, but kind of like figure out how can I attack this or like handle this so that I can be more comfortable. And for me, usually it's like, all right, let's do this and this. And like Finn took out his rope so that he could like lower me down. And poor guy, he had taken out all the rope. And I was like, no, I'm good. So it's nice. Like, yeah, he's also a guide, so he knows it. But I do think it's interesting what you're saying, because I think there is a switch kind of going on, or like more females are showing films or showing themselves in films where they are starting to talk about it more. Because in my opinion, it's really cool to see people ski heavy stuff and like big lines and stuff, but it's also cool to see like the work that goes into it, because I feel like for a longest time that wasn't like shown at all, and there's so much work going into it, like planning and like the level of detail that you have to go in planning just to figure out where it's going to be sun at what times of the day, and like the weather has to be good and like the conditions has to be stable, and you have to be with a group of people that creates a good group, and like everyone's sort of like at the same skill level. It's just so many parts that have to be in line to be able to be in those places and ski stuff like that. And I think it's cool to see that whole process more too, and not just like rat line. I think it's cool to see, yeah, the work that goes into it. But that might just be me too.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I think you can then bring that into your ski experience, because quite often if we're looking at much easier stuff, then it's like, okay, top to whatever the book you're using says, let's do this line. And I've had to be like, oh, actually, you need to know about where the sun is.
Yeah.
But often you don't really, oh, because I came into this so new, I just didn't really think about this kind of thing until I did my avalanche course and I had to think more. And I would love to see more behind the scenes of how these, like the stuff you're filming and skiing, like what work goes into it, because it's so interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool to know. I kind of, for the longest time, I actually thought like looking at a guidebook was a bit of cheating, because I was like, you have to look at the map and like figure it out yourself where you want to go. But it is nice with the books, and it
Yeah,
is
I'll
really
take
nice if you're like. And I don't think that anymore, but I used to think that when I was starting out, because I was like, you've got to be real. But then the guidebooks help you get like a handle of the area you're going into too. So it's like they're tremendous help if you're like new to area. But like if you're local to area, usually you'll just use like a map to figure out where to go. So that's something I've gotten into because I've done this for a long time.
I've just started getting into the map stuff, and using the guidebook, as you said, is like an entry point into the area. We're going to kind of backpedal to the beginning. I'm assuming you've been skiing since you were little?
Yeah, I actually grew up ski racing here in Oslo. So I ski raced throughout high school, and then I was very tired of being in the same hill and doing the same things all over again. And it started in high school that I started to become more and more interested in like skiing out of bounds in local ski area, or like starting to explore the mountains more. So I was pretty fed up with ski racing after high school. And then I met a friend that asked me to join this half-year avalanche course. So I did that right after high school, and that kind of put a trajectory for like my life to go into freeriding and being in the mountains quite a lot. I'd say a lot of my decisions has been like based on how can I be the most in the mountains.
And what was it that drew you to the mountains? And I'm gonna maybe ask two parts, because a lot of people, they're not sure what their passion is. And so what is that feeling that you came to the mountains like, this is for me? And then at the same time, because maybe it's interlinked for you, what gave you the confidence or the safety or the comfort to go, this is what I can create my life around, not following what the expectations are from traditional society?
I just genuinely always loved skiing. Like even though I was like tired of ski racing, I loved skiing. I love like it's one of those things where I really feel like myself. It's like my happy place kind of. And so I knew that, and I've heard like people saying that if you do ski racing in high school, then a lot of girls drop out, or like they don't drop out of school, but like they drop skiing completely for like 10 years after. And I thought it would be a shame that I've worked for so long to be good at like skiing, and then I'm just gonna like drop it and not use that skill at all. There's so many places that I still want to ski. So for me, it was kind of like, how can I go into education and still be able to ski as much as possible? So that's kind of the way I went about it. And I've just always thought like, or tried to figure out ways to be able to ski and be in the mountains as much as possible. I don't think I had like a decision where I was like, skiing is my passion and this is what I'm going to do. It was always just the thing that drove me, was like, where can I go to school and still ski as much as possible? And that's kind of what I did.
So do you split your time between skiing and then a career in education?
No, I don't work in education at all. I work in sales.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm a salesperson. I've been really lucky with my employers to be able to take some time off for skiing, if it's like a couple of weeks or like up to 2 months, the longest, to be able to go ski or like do a project or stuff like that. For the last couple of years, I've been working, but also doing my master thesis. So that has like given me a little bit of leeway in a way because of how the Norwegian system is rigged. So yeah, I mean, I've done choices to be able to ski as much as possible. So like doing my master's over 2.5 years was one of those choices, because I was like, I want to be more out in the real mountains again and not just ski resorts, I guess.
I'm thinking that a lot of people struggle to get that balance between the
Yeah.
passion and the career. How have you, and it's not always like, when I say balance, not like, 50-50,
Yeah.
but achieving a balance that actually satisfies you.
Yeah.
How have you been able to cultivate that for yourself?
I do find it hard because like when the winter comes, all I want to do is just go out and ski, but then you still have to go to work and do like the grown-up things, or like go to school and like, yeah, and you can't really ski every day too, because then you have to have days off, or like if you're a ski bum, you can do that for a bit or for a long time. But for me, it's really important to like put time off, like prioritize it, because I know it's like a thing I need to prioritize for myself. I'm hard on prioritizing that. So like I would say a lot of my friends thinks that I'm gone from like November till April, mid-May, and then I'm back again. I think I prioritize it a lot because I know it's what makes me happy. I don't know, it might make me sound like a terrible person, but I might ditch a birthday on a Saturday in February to go skiing. Like I've done that a couple of times, and it's not really fair for the friend, but it's what I need to do for myself.
It's interesting because I had this conversation about a month and a half ago with someone,
Yeah.
and they felt that they said, like, oh, I'm a really selfish person, because they did exactly what you just described. They ditched social things
Mm.
for their passion. And I think it's really interesting because often it's expected of us to sacrifice what we love to do to
Yeah.
meet an expectation. But I said, like, to me, it's just having, as long as the friend knows, which usually they do, it's just having good boundaries, and it's
Yeah.
prioritizing yourself. I mean, is that selfish? I'm not so convinced.
I kind of know that like if I don't do it, I'll turn into sort of like a bitter person and not that cool in like a couple of weeks time. So I think it's better to do that for myself. And I think part of me is a little bit addicted to getting to get those kind of like big experiences you get from when you go ski touring, even though if it's like your first time or like your 500 times, or like if you're experienced, it's always like a pretty big feeling of like driving somewhere and you're getting into the mountains and then you're doing the ski tour and you're having like a great time. There's always like something that really sticks, and I think I'm like, I need that in my life, and I need to prioritize that. I need those experiences, I guess.
I
They're
completely
very, very valuable to me. Yeah.
agree. I completely agree. And I think it's really, for me, I think it's really cool when
Mm.
people are saying, this is really important to me and I love you, but this is what I have to prioritize for
Yeah.
myself. I think
Yeah.
that's actually an amazing thing to do, especially in our modern world today.
Mm.
I'm really curious. I've actually found well, I'm curious how you manage this and what your feelings are. So the ski season pretty much ended in June. We had a little bit of summer ski, which was
Yeah.
fun. And I have to say, coming off the winter season, it's been a bit of a shock to the system because the skiing, as you mentioned, it's so valuable. It brings
Mhm.
me so much joy, excitement, and makes my days feel very fulfilled. And up in Sogndal, it has been grey and rainy for
Yeah,
what feels like a month. And I'm
yeah,
like, what happened to my life?
yep. I feel you. That happens. I kind of feel like after ski season every year, I'm kind of like, well, what do I do now? And then it's like, well, I guess like running or climbing or biking, and like I like to do those things, but it's also like I sometimes feel like a fraud doing that because I'm like, I'm not a runner, like, and I'm not a big climber and not a big biker either, but I enjoy doing those things just for the fun and like the workout of it.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it is a bit of a shock to the system to be done with ski season, being like, well, where are we going now? But I also do feel like the last couple of years, like living in Tromsø, it felt pretty good. Like when the ski season ended too, because it's so long and like sometimes you need to like just wait. You need to have proper seasons. It's fun to ski in June, but it's also like there's other stuff in life that is fun too. Yeah.
I agree. I think if there was sunny weather, I would
Yeah.
be a little bit happier.
Yeah, but I have a friend or like yeah, I have a friend in the US and he had like summer camps that he was hosting for skiing. And I remember like talking to him and he was like, "Well, I'm kind of like not that into it at the moment because like I'm doing it all year round and I think you need to have a little bit of break to like miss it again. And then you start over in this fall and you're like, oh shoot, I remember how fit I was in the spring where like 2000 verts was like easy day, like that was good. I could do a couple of those in a row and then you start all over and you're like, wow, this is heavy."
Yeah, I agree. I think you need the contrast.
Yeah.
And then it makes skiing even more exciting when you haven't done it for a while.
Different seasons too. They're kind of like fun parts about it too. Like yeah, the really cold season where it's like cold and like you're kind of like doing it and you're like, why am I doing this again? And then you have the best part of the season, like January, February, March, and then you have spring, which is just like skiing is easy and warm and everyone is out.
I do love that about Norway.
Yeah, there is something special about skiing, like a blue, dark, short, light time of day in like December. That's like completely different from like spring skiing in April. But I like both of them. I guess like if you know both parts, you're a proper skier because then you're like savoring both of those parts.
I also like that I love it in December, January, and the light is so cool. The snow is great. But when we get to April, I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm no longer freezing.
Yeah, which is nice, like there's good parts about it, all of the different months of the winter. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. As we start to wrap up the podcast, for women who, oh, guys as well, but mostly my listeners are women who maybe feel the call of the wild, or they're in a career, maybe they're burning out or stuck on the hamster wheel and just wondering, is this it? Or they have this yearning for skiing, but like,
Yeah.
how do I get out there? And maybe they're a bit afraid to follow the call of their wild, like the call of their soul. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I would say start by going somewhere on like a retreat or like a group experience, where like you can see if like this is something for you and like if you're starting to learn, do an avalanche course and do it with some friends. So then you're kind of like, this is the group of friends that go skiing and maybe be like, all right, we're going to do this every third weekend. Try and do something like that because you have to have friends to do it too. And that's kind of like the difficult part when you're starting out and you don't really know anyone. So I'd say that's where I would start doing avalanche courses or going on some retreats or something like that, or going on easy tours close to where your cabin is or like where you're living or something like that. Test out the gear, try and figure it all out. I think that's where I would start if I was to start, but I also grew up kind of doing this, so I was very lucky in that way. Very, very lucky.
I also loved how you were saying in the earlier, don't know where I was going with that. You were asking yourself that question, like knowing that the skiing brings me joy, but I just want to do it in a different way. And then how do I prioritize skiing in
Yeah.
as much as possible and prioritizing your energy and your attention? And I really love how you have your boundaries around
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's just, it has to be something you prioritize like everything else in life, I guess. And for me, it's something I very, very hard to prioritize. And I think it gives off like really big experiences of being out in nature. I think ski touring is like one of the best things you can do because you have the grind of going uphill where you have that struggle where you're kind of like, why am I doing this? Like we only move 50 vertical meters, like this is taking forever. But then as you go up, you get more and more rewards of like the views or like good snow or like doing the struggle with your friends. And then you get to the top and then it's kind of like, well, now the fun part begins. And it's kind of like just like sticking it out and then you're getting a reward, which is the skiing in itself. I think that's like one of the good things about ski touring.
I agree. That's my
Yeah.
I just love it because you get to experience, as you said, like you get so many different experiences within one journey.
Yeah, even if it's like a big ski tour or a small ski tour, like you still go through a lot of the same things.
And sorry, I have one more question for you because it just made me think of it. When you're saying, because a lot of people can struggle with saying no to something that takes them away from their joy, and at the same time kind of saying yes to everything. So maybe they're too busy to then say yes to themselves.
Yeah.
Do you have any strategies or have you had any experiences or feelings that makes it quite easy for you to say yes and no to the things that serve you?
I don't know if I have any strategies. I know that like winter is the part where I'm not really prioritizing maybe like friends that don't ski and like that part of my life. So I know that I have to be better at it in like the summer and spring and early fall. So I think being like cautious of your time and like how you're spending it, but also like not like telling your friends, but like with your surroundings as well. It is hard to like ditch social things, and some people won't understand it and some will because they have like a different passion of their own. I don't know if I have any strategies for it. I kind of just do it, and I think like I like to meet new people too, and I think you meet a lot of good people ski touring that are like interested in the same. So like you're building a community there too, and in that regards, you sort of get a bigger community as well. I don't know if that was a good answer, but that's
That was perfect because what I gathered from that was the more you say yes to the things that light you up, then the better it is. And you mentioned when you say no, and I think that was really important, is when people don't understand or maybe even critique your choices, not to worry about it and just keep following what lights you up.
Yeah, because it's like if I'm not happy, I'm not gonna be a great person. Like if I'm not gonna radiate or give off like good vibes. But if I do what's important to me, then I'm gonna be a lot more excited in my life as well. So I think that's like one of the things that makes it important for me to do. Like some people didn't understand why we used our Easter break to go to do the Odyssey of Loppa tour because like Easter is a big family or like hanging out with your friends time in Norway. For me, it was one of the best Easters I've had in a long time because it was like, this is what I love to do. So like it was important for me to do that, and then I could have the more traditional like later on in the week, which is nice.
Thank you so much for coming on Staying Wild. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you, and I've just really enjoyed our conversation. It was so fun to ask you some of the questions I had from the film as well.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been really nice. Yeah, I'm very excited to have been on this podcast.
Thank you. It was so fun to have you.
That's it for today, wild ones. Please rate, review, subscribe. This really helps me with the podcast algorithms to reach more wild-hearted souls. Remember, we have our wild bonus episode out on Thursday on YouTube and Spotify. Until next time, darling wild ones, try not to do anything I wouldn't do, which quite frankly leaves you with plenty of options. Stay smart, stay savage, and above all, stay wild. I'll see you above the tree lines very soon.